everyone. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I decided to make a video on this game. This game is called Chroma Blight. I've been playing it for quite a while, but I decided to make a video on it. One of my favorite YouTubers made this, designed this game. I don't know if he made or designed it, but I think he designed it. And I was gonna show you what the game's like. I have a couple decks here. Each of them do a couple different things. I'm going to show you my all spells deck because this is the first deck I made. So a couple things about Chroma is it has a very few unique things that separate it from other card games. One being is that this is a completely 100% free to play game. As in, all cards are free. You have access to all of them at any time. All these cards you see here, you get them as soon as you get the game, and the game is free. Just all these games free. It's great. You can't get any better than that. Two is the mana system. So on the left side, you see these little things from 1 to 10. Those are colors of mana. 3-color deck right now, blue, red, purple, and you can designate when you get each color of mana. Like for right now, I'm getting blue turn 1 because I have turn 1 plays that require blue. A lot of my early game cards require just 1 blue, so I just have 1. Then I immediately go to red because I want to be able to play Forgotten, which is pretty good control card early on. Just voids, which is pretty much exile if you play Magic the Gathering. Just removes it from the game. 4 health, a lot of cards at 4 health early on, so it's pretty good. And I go for another blue just so that I can play some of these other cards early on, like right here. Other such things. Might swap purple and blue around, not that I'm looking at the deck, but... And then I go 2 purple because a lot of my cards require 2 purple. This requires 2 purple, this requires 2 purple, this does. Like pretty much all my cards that have purple require 2 of them. This kinda sucks, but... that's all I could have, so I had to try to put both of them in, just to get the extra color in. And I go 2 more blue, and then finish up with red and blue. So this is a very heavily a control deck. It has tons and tons of removal and control, and ways to draw cards and such. It's a very, very heavily a control card deck. And up here you have 3 hero powers. Probably could have described this earlier, but I have 3 hero powers. The primary one, 3N, which is neutral, and you just have 3 mana, you can use it. 1 cooldown, which means it takes a cooldown for you to be able to use it again. Top spell of my deck enters the story, and it's a 2/2. It's pretty good. Pretty much means I'm always able to get a creature on board if they don't have anything on board. They're playing aggro. Use this usually just to get a creature on board. If I don't have any good answers, just so that I have ways to protect myself. It's not the greatest. I rarely use this, honestly. It's kind of a last resort kind of ability, but it does have uses when I do use it. Second one is 2 neutral, and I remove 3 spells from my graveyard, or ashes as it's called, and I gain 1 plating. What plating is that if I were to take any amount of damage, it just removes 1 plating. So if I take 10 trillion damage, I just remove 1 plating. If I take 1 damage, it takes away the plating. So it's very good at just surviving. Honestly, I'm mainly using it for the voiding spells. I'll get to my deck later on, but I mainly just use it for removing my weaker spells for later on in the game. And health is very useful because it just means more set of ability when you're playing control deck. It's always a thing to consider. And the last ability, which is my win condition, is for the rest of the game, after you play a spell, I create a creature with health and attack equal to the spell's mana cost. So if I play a 5 cost spell, I get a 5/5. Very, very good, but it costs 12. I know it looks on the left, it's like you can't get to 12, but I'll get to that once I get to the gameplay. But pretty much saying like it requires all your mana to play this, so you're literally doing nothing the turn you use this. But after you use it, you're set for the rest of the game because you kill a thing, you get a good creature, and you can do that over and over again. So now I'll go over the cards I actually have in my deck. This first card is the Benefactor. When it comes into play, I get a bag of crowns, which means I get any color of mana, basically. So, puts a spell in my hand, and I use it and get any color of mana. So I use this just to ramp up to some of my other cards, especially if like I don't have a color, because coloring is kind of a pain in this, but I haven't had too big of an issue with it. So yeah, I might actually swap out purple and blue though. Now that I'm looking at this deck really closely. Yeah, I'll do that because I don't really have a lot of blue pips. I think I swapped some cards and didn't realize I should have swapped my shit around. But anyway, yeah, Benefactor. Just helps me ramp. A song for dancing. This does two things. One is it adds 2 color of every mana to my pool. So like if I'm just like, I need to play one of these big spells at the end. I don't have the color of mana. I use this, gets it to me, I can use it. And then late game, when I have creatures when I actually do have creatures in play, it's a cantrip. So play it, draw a card, doesn't cost me anything, so it's pretty good for that. Forgotten told you about, pretty good early game removal, just remove something from the game. Most things have 4 health, can remove even some late game creatures, just have it for early game. Forced Fate, very good for control because one, it allows me to look 3 cards deep into either my or my opponent's deck, and I can choose what cards they get for the next 3 turns, pretty much. Look at my deck and like, don't like any of it, put it all to the bottom. I can look at my opponent's, which is very mean, and I can say, yep, you can keep these 3 cards, you're screwed for the next 3 turns. I mainly use it for myself though, because once I winning the game, I usually win the game. Lightning Seed, just another removal card. Deals 5 damage minimum. If I put 3 blue into it, it deals 8. So pretty good removal card. And I can also finish off my opponent, because it can deal 8 to their face, which is quite a bit. So it's pretty decent finisher if I have just a couple laying around in my hand. Null Dreams, I'll get to this later on once I describe my late game combo. Cinder Eddy. This is a combo piece with So deals 1 damage to everything. If any were destroyed, I get a creature based on how many creatures were destroyed. If any were destroyed. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, so I just kill 1 thing, I get a creature equal to how much damage it does. If I had to kill stuff. Makes it better. But makes all creatures into 1/1s. Very good control card, because if I'm taking too much damage, they have a lot of big things. Turn them all to 1/1s, makes it so I take a lot less damage. Or if I have a coin laying around from the Benefactor, I can kill them all, and then I get a big threat. It's pretty good combo. I'll get into this later on too, because it's part of another one of my combos, but essentially, I get a spell from my graveyard, put it into my hand, I put a card from my hand into the graveyard, so it allows me to get extra resources going. Just a small favor is pretty good decision card, because it can do a lot of things. Disarming all opposing companions just buys you a turn. Dealing 3 to all opposing companions if you can. Just clear out their whole board or most of them. It's always good. Dealing 5 to any target. Just I need to kill that thing, do it, or deal damage to their face. Most of the time I'm either dealing 3 to all of their companions or disarming them all, because they usually have a lot of creatures on board. And then the first one's develop. I don't really do that. It just gives you 1 mana. It's not really good unless you're a developed deck. But pretty good multi-choice card. It's pretty good. Better than luck. Just picks a card from my deck, puts it into my hand. That's all it does. It's really good when I just need, like, I need a card, play this, get it. Gratitude. After I play a spell, I gain health. That's all I could say, and I'd put this in my deck. And then, if you can keep going, and whenever I restore 5 health in a turn, I draw a card. Card draw, life gain. A lot of control decks need both of those, so I put this in my deck. Not yet ready. So now I'll get into my combo. Not yet ready. Shuffle target hero's ashes back into their deck. Just avoid it, which means you can't get it back. So if I have Scholar's Attendant and I have Not Yet Ready into my deck, or in my hand, I can put a copy of this into my graveyard, which means it does not void it. So when I do eventually play Not Yet Ready, it puts my whole deck, my whole graveyard into my deck. And I still have a Not Yet Ready. And I'll also still have these Scholar's Attendants. So this is just a way, it's like, if I'm in a control versus control mirror match and it's not really going anywhere, I have a way to go infinite. So I can eventually duck them out. This rarely happens, but I do have it in here just in case, because it's only 1 card. So it's like, if that does happen, I have a card in there and I'm ready for it. And then the reason I have Null Dreams is because, one, I usually have a lot of cards in my graveyard, so I can easily burn them. It says pay 3 mana, deal 3 damage to your opponent. And then the other ability, I remove 3 cards from my ashes, and then it refreshes it. This serves 2 purposes. One, if I have a ton of tokens in my graveyard, because they do that in this game, I don't want to shuffle them all back into my deck and then I have a bunch of draws where it's like, I'm getting token after token. So before I do shuffle, I want to have a Null Dreams in play so I can just get rid of all those tokens. So that when I do shuffle in my graveyard into my deck, it's just spells and that I'm going to want either way. So it just removes all the crap I don't want, gets the crap I do, get the stuff I do want. Release, again, just another really good control card. Void target permanent, just pick something, remove it. Very good. And then the big boy of the deck, Planar Skew. Destroy all opposing permanents. So if they have a board, they don't anymore. All that stuff has indestructible, so just pretty much the whole thing is gone. And then my sideboard, I just have a couple of niche options. I usually my main deck does it, but if they're going very heavily on something, like put one of these in. Headman's Axe. Destroy target companion in guarded stance. So if they have a lot of creatures, they like to put in the guard. That's another thing. I'll have to explain that in the game. If they have a lot of creatures in guarded stance, put this in. Just very easy. Just removal spell. Very easy to kill stuff. Prepare. I thought I removed that. I removed look up. Not look up below. Look out below. I just if they're very aggressive early on, just a bunch of low health creatures. Not a lot of creatures have 1 health, sadly. But I think I can deal the same to 1 target, so I just like, if I really need to, like if they're very aggressive with those 1 health creatures, I have look up below. This too shall pass. If they're a very heavily enchantment deck, this destroys them. Sets all their enchantments to 1, which means they go away when it's their turn. And it's a cantrip, so I just draw a card, so it doesn't really cost me anything. Amazing against enchantment decks, destroys them completely. And Grow the Flock, if they have... This is pretty much like if they have a big creature deck, put this in, take their creature, use their big creature to kill one of their creatures. I'd much prefer to have more releases, but not a lot of really good single target removal with this. But yeah, I think this game's pretty good, especially because every card's free, so you don't have to feel pressured to pay money, because like if there's a strong deck, you can immediately just have it. So I think that's a thing that they've really done good about this, is just really pushing like, hey, everything's free to play. And I really enjoy that they did that. But anyway, I'm gonna show you a quick game. I'm not gonna fight an opponent because that usually takes a while. I'll show you a game against Blight just to show you how this deck works. I know it's been going on for a while. I've been talking a lot. It's been 17 minutes. I've just been talking about my deck, but I think this deck requires a lot of talking. It's very complicated. Okay. I'm playing against a bot, so before you say anything, this is a very aggressive bot. And this is a pretty good hand for them, so I'm going to keep it. 1 drop. Okay, I'm going to lose 2 anyway. Can't do anything in my first turn, so I'm going to pass and take some damage. Yeah, it's a very aggressive deck. Already at lost 8 health. That's not what you want to see. Okay, so the axe. I should probably get to that before we move axe. This has a thing where there's 3 acts in the story. So there's Act 1, which I guess this says it here. Nothing changes. It's just regular gameplay. Act 2, which happens either when someone takes 10 damage, or this first barrier. They have barriers. This first barrier breaks, which happens when you're at 30 health, moves on to an act. Or happens until 30 cards have been played, or... Yeah, 30 cards. 30 cards usually never happens. Usually someone loses 10 life pretty quickly, like this. But that's just in case it's 2 really dumb control decks like this. And they just don't do anything. I think it's 30. I think it might be 30 actually. So anyway, I've already lost my first barrier, so I'm gonna get 2 colorless pips. Which is fine by me, because I'm gonna be able to kill some stuff here. So what I'm gonna do, play a coin, so I can kill their stuff. Since I played a coin, I can do 2 things, so I'm just gonna hit his face. I need some lifesteal here soon, or I was gonna start losing too much health too fast. card. I don't like. They also get this thing where I can pay their costs and get some rid of them, but I mainly just use this for save myself. I already have 16 lives. This is good. I'm not gonna kill that yet because I can doesn't really matter. It doesn't put that matter. Immediately, we're gonna immediately go into Act 3, which is gonna hurt, but. Getting my life gain. He has a 10 damage combo, so I'm gonna have to use this. I kinda did want to have a creature. Yeah, box is stupid, he just wasted 5 damage. So I'm alive. I'm gonna have to discard a card. See, I get life. We're gonna get that card where I can start gaining life. Oh, okay, well I'm getting next turn. I don't gain life. Oh, that was unlucky. Then you get to really get to show you the deck, but I think this kind of explains much. I highly recommend it. Everything about it is good. Everything's free to play, which is very rare for a card game. How they get money is through these alternate artworks like this. All of them look pretty cool. Look at that. Looks pretty good. All these cards are good. All this artwork's nice. Some beta artwork. It's very funny. Yeah, all the stuff you used to buy is all cosmetic. Everything is free. Oh, if you usually like card games, but you're just like, I don't want to get into another one, so then I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna be behind. But nope, on this, everything is free, so I highly recommend it. Again, this is Chroma Bloom and Blight. It was. If you want to know more, look up Bami on YouTube, B-A-U-M-I. He makes mostly Dota 2 content, but he also makes some cool games. I think you'd like most of them. He makes some pretty good games. He's also a pretty good guy. But he has way more detailed tutorial and stuff on his. So if you want to know more, you can just look that up. Well, I hope this is just an introduction to Chroma. I might record some ranked in the future, do some casual, just to show off the game a bit more. So I think it's pretty good. It's pretty well balanced from what I can tell. Well, I'm gonna keep rambling on, so I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.